And then one of my grandmother's sister called me by the side and said, "Young man, do you know you're from this community?"
Jambo and welcome to Convos with Nifa.
Hi, I am Hanifa Kut and welcome to Convos with Nifa.
Yeah, hi, Nifa. It's a pleasure. I'm PIUS OKO from
It's
Nigeria.
an honor having you.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so Pius, tell me more about yourself and what you do.
Okay, I'm a climate policy and development person. I work with an organization called Lift Humanity Foundation. It's a member of the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. And we're working together, coordinating isolated groups, youth, women, and other civil society organizations to harness biological processes for proper development and influencing policies related to climate change and sustainable development in Nigeria and also in Africa at large.
Okay.
It's more informed from the position of lifting humanity from the present precarious situations and the impacts that some man-made or negative man-made activities and practices have resulted into human facing challenges within the natural environment. So we kind of felt it's better we work together to lift each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, considering it's about getting the people from situations in which they've been and bringing them to a position in which they're not supposed to be vulnerable, can you please tell me how this has led to community development in the process?
This the aspect of policy, because we know that society is run by laws, programs, and activities, and so policy is one key thing that government also use to enforce processes or implementation of certain uh, plans that could help society grow or better the society. And so for us, we felt like we should also, one, lend our voices to those that are voiceless in the society, especially those communities that have been impacted with one of the situations, which is climate change affecting our community. And these communities facing a lot lack the voices because they are in poor remote communities and they really not getting the government attention. And so we believe that they, one, should be part of the process of policy uh, processes and programs, and two, should be part of those being implemented or implementing those policies. And so, because we've seen this gap, so one is that we bridge that gap of bringing the government to those communities for discussion dialogues and response measures so that they will be able to hear the community themselves and also sometimes even get some indigenous knowledge or understanding of true situation of what the communities are being faced with. And in that sense, government that could inform government policies to better find a way of intervening, either maybe in helping them cope or help them also come up with measures to prevent maybe occurrence of some of those impacts, and also step up as a response measure to already ravaged communities by providing a kind of alternative or sub grants for them to cope with the serious impact that these situations or this impact has caused. And so what we do is that we encourage government to go to those communities and help them rebuild better. For example, there's a neem tree found within Nigeria in communities, and these trees are found not to be too useful by the communities because it's bitter, but not knowing that the neem has some content or liquid that can help prevent pests from affecting the crops. And so we came up with this initiative of training the communities on harvesting the leaves of this neem plant and then using them as a pest control measure, which is local adaptation. And these trees are already within the community. And so once you can easily have access to them, and then you can also use them to that advantage of instead of allowing pests to ravage some of those crops. These tree and the liquids which come from it, which could be easily mixed with fresh water, and then used as a fumigation or a kind of way of herbicide to prevent some insects from harvesting or destroying the crops or the seeds of some of our cereals or plants by those local farmers. So these are measures, and then we're encouraging government to take advantage of this and then employ more people that will help give these services to the community and then help them to withstand some of those challenges. So those are some of the initiatives or things we've been doing.
Oh, nice.
And it's a way of lifting humanity that we feel like.
Yeah, so in short, you've created a bridge between the community
Yeah.
and the government,
Yes, of
and
course.
now they're working together to some extent.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so far, have you seen a change or improvement in the community that you can point out and say, oh, this was not happening, and now it's happening, and even economically, the people are not in the place they were?
Yeah. In some communities, I'll make mention of some forest dependent community on some of also Lift Humanity projects. So we have one approach which we tend to help the community withstand erosion by planting trees around the tributaries of the river Rhine areas. Because we know that the sea level is rising, and then as a result of that, it's bats and destroys some farmlands that are found within the river tributaries or the riparian areas that we call them. And so what we did was an initiative led by the communities themselves to come up with a tree planting campaign. And this tree planting campaign actually is aimed at reducing flooding and erosion within the Bakassi community in the crossover states. And so what we did was that we led the community to come up with tree planting. And so these nursery were raised and used in the sense to they were planted within the river base and the sea base. Now this has helped to kind of withstand the pressure that comes from the sea rise and the flooding that usually take off or flood those farmlands out of the farmers' efforts. And so with that, we found out that the farmers themselves have confessed to the fact that before now, they are always scared and afraid of this flooding annually. And because of this intervention, they themselves have domesticated the approach in such a way that they now use some little community contributions to plant and raise more nurseries to plant more trees. And this has helped them, one, to save them from the flooding that ravaged their farms, and also some of their little community fish ponds that is found within the river areas. This has helped them to save the income also that they lose from the sales of their produce or products that they get from the farm. That over half of them have been lost every year. But now they feel a little minimum of those losses, and now it has improved their livelihood options in terms of getting more funding from the harvest. And so that has really gone a long way. Just a typical example. The other one again is Inondo community, where they call Ose, is one of the Red Cross sites in Nigeria.
Ose is a place?
Yes, Ose is the name of a place.
Okay.
And so we call it the Queen's Park. So the Queen's Park is a forest that is marked as one of the forest sites that is conserved. So we call it the Akure Forest Reserve. Now in this community, and Obada actually is also a community name. So in this community, what they face is deforestation. So they go cut down trees and sell them, and also use some for firewoods for, of course, cooking purposes and also some other energy needs within the community. And so we knew that this is because they don't have much in terms of livelihood options. And so we needed to preach to them to stop the issues of deforestation because of the effects and also how helpful trees are to the community. But we know that also we can't do this without providing them with an option.
Yeah.
And so what we did was we did an alternative livelihood option training where we trained them on snail farming, because we know easily within the forest you have these snails, and in Nigeria it's a big market for snails. So we decided to train these farmers on snail keeping and rearing, and this is now multiplying their income. So they are now focused more on the snail than going to the bush to cut down the trees.
Yeah.
You see, one of that.
Yes.
Yeah, the other one is beekeeping. That's also another way of livelihood. And this has also helped them to also or distract their attention positively by taking them into other livelihood options that are also very sustainable and better off, that are not also forest dependent in that case. So these are also some of the issues or realities we've been keeping on to help lift the community.
As you were talking, I just noticed you might be tackling one thing in the environment, in the community, to deal with climate change or environment, but in the process you're touching different SDGs, like from SDG 1, 2, 3, no, zero hunger, poverty,
health, and
everything. And it's amazing how everything is intertwined as we try to do our different things.
Of course. You know, when you want to practice sustainably, or when we're talking about sustainable development, it has to it touch across or it cut across our livelihood options and how we survive within the space or within the natural system that we found ourselves. And so in that case, interventions touch different angles or different goals of the SDG, and that's what makes it sustainable. Once it's not sustainable, it means it might be tackling one and then the other one is suffering.
It's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So in African societies, the main thing that makes people stick where they are and not adapt certain things is that it's hard to change the mindset of people.
Yeah, that's true.
How are you tackling this in your organization? How are you able to change the mindset of people to actually pick up what you're bringing? And as you tackle that, you can also tell me some of the challenges you faced along this line of work.
Yeah, thank you. I think one good thing that we must understand is that in any approach to societal or solving societal problem, there must be this ownership. You must come with the aspect or with the reality that you are making the community part of the process. You're making the people part of the process
from the beginning.
Yes, from the beginning, and also creating a ownership perspective of it. But once you think you are the one bringing a solution and you're not committing the community, or you think that that is the solution that is best for the society or best for the community, then that is where we start to fail in some of our interventions program. So one good thing is that we start with sensitization. That's one thing we always do, starting with first mapping the needs. And mapping the needs in that sense, it means you have to also carry out a kind of baseline survey. Because there are some communities that you might think that what they need is a toilet, but that is not what they want. Yes, they might just need maybe water. And you are thinking because maybe where they defecate or ease themselves is maybe far from their homes, and so you feel that is what they need in that community. So there must be this need assessment and baseline survey and study to help you align properly what the community needs are. That's one. Two is that sensitization is very key. You must make sure you let the people know why this is important. Even after the survey, you let them know that this is important, because I know you can't solve every problem, like I always say. Problems are solved in a bit. So there are some specific needs that you think could be solved, and that is your own approach. So you must let the people know that, okay, this is an intervention, this is why you're taking this intervention. In that sense, you're creating ownership for them. And once you create that ownership, you don't need to be there before that project becomes successful, because already you've made the community part of the process. And so that's the mindset. So I normally tell people something. Just recently, of course, we celebrated the plastic-free day, and now in some communities, you tell people that they should ban plastic. because it's maybe you didn't even inform them that it's causing pollution, or it's what is resulting to some of the flooding because the plastic blocks some drainage channel. You haven't given them that purpose for them to feel like, okay, there's a need. Because I tell people, my local mother or grandmother in the village, if you want her to be impressed with a gift, you have to wrap it in a bag for her. Yeah, and that's true. If you want her to be impressed, you have to wrap it in a bag. And so once it's not wrapped in a bag, it's believed that it's nothing. So even the bread you buy visiting her, you have to put it in a bag. You get. So that is one thing. So now, until you also let the people know that, okay, let's just look how people know, or the community people know that, okay, it's because this is causing so and so harm even to their health. So until you orient them that this particular practice is unfair and unjust, either for your health and for your system as well. Then also what it causes in the society. But if you just go outrightly and ban, because with no understanding, it won't work, because people, and you didn't even create an enabling environment for even those producing the non-harmful or the nature-based packaging materials to produce or to thrive. You haven't provided that and you're banning. It can't work because people need to hold their things. So for me, some of the challenges actually is the aspect of convincing people actually to buy the idea of those innovations or those nature-based solutions that you're bringing on board. Because, for example, if it's talking about banning plastic, then some people will tell you, okay, you want us to be using maybe paper bags. Paper bags also means that we're cutting down trees. So now you're trying to solve a problem and you're causing another problem. And so one of it is that we need to be conservative in our approach to the use of our natural resources. And that's why we preach conservation and not even preservation. Because man must always use nature. And that is why nature is meant for. And so we must practice the act of conservation, meaning that we must practice the act of always reuse, or also responsible consumption in a sense. There's also another way. And then we must also practice the act of greening our immediate environment by either planting the little flower pots that you have within the entrance of your home. It's very important, because you might never know the little carbon you are helping to sequester, the little I'm helping to sequester adds to the much that is needed to help keep the environment safe. Two, we must also practice the act of behaving or living healthy, in the sense that we must make sure even our little plastic bags, our papers that we have within our hands, that we choose to throw anyhow or anywhere, we should make conscious efforts on making sure that we have proper disposal for used items. Once we do that, we're also contributing. Another aspect which is also very hard is the aspect of also advocacy. I know sometimes you talk to people and then it's like maybe because you're claiming to be from heaven, and so that's why you're saying all of this. But the truth is, when you also practice, they also follow suit in practicing with you. Then too, you also need to keep convincing people and keep convincing them with the little space you have, be it on social media, be it in a space of personal conversation, be it on a space of conferences that you find yourselves, be it on a phase of research. You need to also keep on consistently doing what is best, or what are the best practices. In that case, you help to convince people, because I know it's that conviction that is an issue in our immediate society. Then you also must provide alternative livelihoods, because there's some issues or things that you say you want to do, and you are stopping an act without providing what the person might fall back to. That is a problem. In my community, for example, okay, there's a scenario where we're having a wedding party, and this is a cooking for about 150 people. And I was coming in with my own technology of advancement and saying that we need an electric cooker. Yes, to cook this food. And then one of my grandmother's sister called me by the side and said, "Young man, do you know you're from this community? And then you're not coming up and telling us, where is the electric that I'm saying we need to use the cooking food for 150 people. Because why I was saying this is because I noticed there were already logs of firewood that was prepared and ready to be used for this cooking. And so for me, coming from the space I am, I was thinking, okay, I can preach to them and tell them, okay, let's be innovative and go maybe with renewable energy. But where is the renewable energy within the space? It's not there. Even the gas in the community is not there, and it's also very expensive for them to get. So the one they can get is the firewood by the corners or by the bushes that are found within. So we must make conscious effort to make sure that we provide alternative for these people, and not just think that we'll just stop them from their practices, which we believe are against nature, but at the same time, we're not providing that which is for nature for them. So we must make sure we do that. And also, we encourage tree planting within our homes, within our communities, anywhere we find ourselves. Let us try to green the environment. In that way, we are helping also to keep our environment safe for us and for the future. Thank you.
Okay. It's interesting that you've actually said the challenge and how to tackle it, which is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Finally, one of your favorite quotes.
But for me, one thing I always say is that in this world, relationship is key to success. And why I say this is because as an environmentalist, you need your local gardener to provide the seedlings for you to plant.
Okay.
Yes.
Remember, thank you so much, Oko.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
This has been great, and this is Convos with Nifa.
Yeah, thank you.
Till next time.
Next time, sure. Catch
Bye.
you. Yeah, bye.